I am welcoming you to our stillness meditation. It's 10 a.m. on the Pacific Coast, and we're getting ready to move into our meditation service. So if you're turning in now, for about the next 25 minutes, I'm going to facilitate bringing us into the stillness where we exercise the muscle of not thinking, allowing ourselves to move into communion with God, communion with Spirit, communion with the soul. I'll center us. We'll stay in that space of sacred magnificence, and then we will come out in a wave of prayer. And then at 10:30, in just 28 minutes from now, we will begin our regular Sunday service with our music and our message and our inspiration to invigorate us into a greater and grander vision and version of life than ever before. So if you're joining us for our meditation, I'm going to invite you to go ahead and find a comfortable place to be seated. If you need to close a door or dim the lights, if you need to draw the blinds, whatever it is, if you need to tell that, be mindful, you're going to be meditating. We're going to go ahead and take those precautions, and then we're going to go ahead and get seated. The recommendation is to be seated with your back erect and possibly have your feet firmly on the floor with your palms on your lap. If you prefer to sit lotus or Indian style, you're more than welcome to. Whatever feels good and right to you, with the intention that all of our channels and all the meridians are open. We're going to go ahead and we are going to get ready to begin. So I'm going to invite you to join me this morning. We're going to actually begin like we did a couple weeks ago with the three-part Om practice of japa. And remembering that japa is toning the sound of the divine. It is a form of prayer. And japa is allowing that sacred tone that takes us beyond words and lifts us into the meditational or prayer field. And so the way we do that is we do it with the ah sound. The ah sound is that primordial sound in japa that contains the vibration of the divine, and it goes beyond words, because sometimes words make the mind attached to the finite. And we're moving into the infinite. And so I like to use the three-part Om as my practice in japa. And so it starts with the ah. You take a big, deep breath. You open your mouth wide. You begin to release the ah. And then we move into the O. The O starts to bring the vibration into your mind, clearing your mind of thoughts. And then your mouth slowly closes into the So in three equal parts, with a mouth wide open with the ah, starting to slowly close down into the O, and then closing completely into the and to the best of your ability doing them in three equal parts. In between the three repetitions of japa that we're going to do, we're going to take a relaxing breath. So no hurrying, no efforting, no trying. So I'm going to invite you to go ahead and join me first by closing your eyes, bringing your awareness to your breathing and your breath, and setting the intention that we're allowing this practice of japa to align and connect, and that we will feel the energy as it enters into our physical bodies. And as you bring your awareness to your breathing, I'm going to invite you to allow yourself to exhale as we all take a nice deep inhalation and begin. Regular breathing, feel the first wave of japa flowing into your body. Sometimes people feel the tingles making it into their bones and muscles. Another nice deep inhalation. Regular breath, relaxed breathing, and feel the second wave of japa flowing through your body. And one more nice deep inhalation. Feel that final and third wave of japa relaxing your body as we prepare to begin. By giving ourselves permission to relax. As we invite, as we evoke, as we allow the divine energies of peace and love, wellness and goodness, and beauty and grace to wash over us and to rise up from within us. Knowing we have no place to go. We have nothing to do except completely surrender. Going even deeper and rising even higher into the very heart and the very mind of God. We take a moment as we have allowed that energy of japa to raise the vibration of our physical and mental bodies. As we allow ourselves to marinate and immerse in these energies, you'll begin to feel a contagion of beauty and bliss, grace and love, wellness and goodness flowing through your veins, beating through your heart, and breathing through your breath. There's nothing we need do except allow that to take place. As that energy floods into your toes, you'll begin to feel it filling and thrilling, immersing and enmeshing into all the ligaments, tendons, joints, in your heels, your ankles. Waves of energy and light rising, softening and strengthening your calves and shins, flooding into your kneecaps and the cartilage and tendons of your knees. You can feel the energy rising through your thighs and hamstrings, filling and thrilling your hips, where the root at the base of the spine opens, and you can feel a centered state of stability. You can feel the light rising into all the organs, nourishing, flourishing, and rising as your sacrum, your your lower back, and your midsection. Relax into homeostasis and vitality. That energy rising from your core, your solar plexus, up into the heart center, where we allow the heart to open, to blossom, and as it floods with light, you can feel the energy rising into your shoulders and throat, the muscles in the back of the neck relaxing. You can feel that energy rising, mingling and tingling into your jawbone and cheeks. And as your face tingles with light, you can feel yourself letting go of all expression. You can feel the energy rising up the back of the scalp and swirling around the crown. And we open our crown to the holy providence and light of God, of the soul. You can feel your emotional body completely surrendering, rejuvenating and relaxing, being fortified and amplified with peace, love and compassion. Allow the holy light to overwhelm you with grace. As that energy moves from the emotional body into the mental body, we feel waves of clarity lifting us into the vibration of providence and revelation, beyond words, beyond thoughts, feeling the surface mind attuning to the higher mind. As the energy moves even higher into the bliss body, completely available and vulnerable to the holy light of God, to the energy of your soul. And you feel a coherence, a connection between your heart, your mind, and the light and love and the intelligence of God. And without efforting or trying, and just relaxing in the wordless void of ever-expanding good. It is here that we allow ourselves to relax, to rest, and to rejuvenate in the stillness. taking you even deeper and rising us even higher. So as we continue to bathe and breathe in the holy light with the intention of allowing it to expand us, to expand our capacities to hold more good, more loveness, more peace, more harmony than ever before. How grateful I am to know that each and every one of us, right where we are connected to the infinite supply of all good. We are united with the very heart and the very mind of God. How grateful I am to know that as we are born in the image and likeness of God, that the entirety of the kingdom of heaven is right where we are. All good, all love, all peace, all joy, all prosperity. Bliss is the very nature of life. It is the very nature of God. It is the very nature of you, of me, of we. And we say yes to a greater and grander experience. We take dominion in our lives, meaning that we surrender to the providential wisdom, the omniscient intelligence that only and always guides, directs, uplifts, and connects us to a higher, greater, and grander vision and version of our lives than ever before. We know there is a flow of life force energy that is always seeking to fill and thrill us. And we say yes to completely aligning with the desires of our soul. The desires placed by the very heart and mind of God. We say yes to allowing ourselves to be blissed and blessed like never before. And so I'm grateful to know there is no difficulty in the divine, that each and every one of us has everything we need to experience, to express, to have, to know full prosperity, full vitality, full sacred, brilliant, holy relationships, full experiences of self-love and joy and self-esteem, confidence and clarity, optimism and faith. These are the energies we invite, we evoke, we allow. And how grateful I am to know that by steeping in this holy light, by meditating, communing with the infinite brilliance of ever-expanding good, by allowing ourselves to know we are the beloved in whom God is so pleased. We participate in allowing that which we call chi or prana or life force, the very flowing, glowing light of God to pour down not only to and through us, but to rise up from within us. And we know in the human realm, to be in the world but not of the world means we connect, commune, and we allow the omni-activity of God to shine itself, express itself in our thoughts, our words, and our deeds. And we must ground this energy. We must ground it, following the flowing, glowing law of creation, grounding all this good as it pours down through the North Pole, the top of your energy field. A flowing, glowing wave of light, ceaselessly pulsing through your soul star, through your crown, through your shoulders, your heart, and down through your root and legs to your earth star, where we ground heaven on earth, peace on earth, love on earth, wellness on earth, goodness on earth. Through you, we make it very personal. We personalize the presence of the divine, of the soul, that we may radiate it right here even more brightly, more brilliantly, more benevolently. We choose this. How grateful I am to know something wonderful has taken place and continues to lift and expand us in benevolent and beautiful ways. We ground it so, we claim it so, we allow it to be so, even better than ever before, by saying, and so it is. Amen. And so as we come back into a lucid state of divine awareness, we're getting ready to start our service in just a couple minutes. So if you need to use the restroom, now would be the time. We'll be back in just a couple minutes, and we will start our regular Sunday service. We'll see you in just a few.
morning, Soul Center. It is my great joy to be with you this morning and to welcome all of you beautiful, perfect emanations of God. Thank you for joining us. We do have a few announcements. Really important one is to mark your calendars for the Friday after Thanksgiving, which is November 27th at 10 a.m. Reverend Keith is giving a really special ingratitude meditation. So we really sink into that vibration of gratitude even more. The information is on our Soul Center OC website, and you'll have to get credentials and sign up for this. So please do and join us next Friday. And we have a really sweet project that has been delivered from our Enlightened Kids Village team, and it is this gratitude star. Isn't it sweet? This project was developed for you to do with your family for Thanksgiving, and it's not hard, but it's really important because it's getting us together and having us really outline the things that we're grateful for, and then we can keep this star through the holidays. This was distributed in our newsletter last week. It's on our website. If you prefer to get the project via email, please just email us at info@soulcenteroc.com and we'll get this to you. But isn't that the sweetest thing? So really want to thank Susan Donovan and Emily Brunn for this. They did an amazing job. There's more coming for you to do something really sweet with your families. So we also want to invite you to attend our Silly Santa party, which is happening online on December 11th, and you can dress up, definitely be silly, bring a joke, bring a poem, bring a skit. We're going to do a special round of Christmas bingo, and just really have fun together, sing some carols, and get together and be silly. So please join us the 11th at 6:30. Info on the website. And as many of you know, we have a team of Soul Center OC prayer chaplains waiting to support you in prayer. If you need anything, that's what we're here for. Let us know, please. Just email us and we will get on it and support you. Or if you'd rather join a small group, our soul circles are still inviting people in. We'll get you in the right one. Just let us know. Also, don't forget Reverend Keith's daily affirmative prayer call every morning at 9:30. It's the way to go, and if you miss it, go back and watch it later. It really helps the days be peaceful and on point. Tuesday nights with Akili Beckwith, our Course in Miracles, is another amazing opportunity to come together. Sign up for our newsletter so you have all this stuff at your fingertips. And now it's my honor to invite Florence up for our reading.
Good morning, and many Thanksgivings and blessings, Soul Center. My name is Florence, and I am deeply grateful, honored, and blessed to be here again with all of you beautiful beings of light in this now moment from your homes and the archives. Our reading this morning is from Paul Farini entitled Gratitude. Gratitude is the key to our experience of abundance. It is how we learn to receive so that we are able to come into alignment with our true self. Grateful, we give thanks for what we have. We do not dwell on what we don't have. We celebrate the beauty that exists in our life. We appreciate the love and the support that is here for us. We do not focus on the love or the support that we feel is missing. Spirit has given his gift of love to all of us. When we take the time to receive that gift, our own gift becomes clear and we are not afraid to give it. When we live in gratitude, we experience not just the abundant love and support of our source, but we actively contribute to the abundance of the universe. Our gifts are given and become part of the intricate web of life and love that invites all of us to come home. As we enter the holiday season this year, let us appreciate the gifts that have already been given us. In this way, we can truly receive them. For to be grateful for the gift is to receive it fully. Once we have received it fully, we can give it back effortlessly. for receiving and giving are linked together. Without one, we cannot have the other. Thank you. And now, let us pray with Reverend Keith.
That was beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Florence. We really appreciate you coming in as an up-and-coming prayer chaplain. We are grateful to have her here and grateful to have you tuning in. If you're joining us for the first time, our Sunday service is just getting ready to kick off. And right now, we're going to move in to our prayer time. And I'm going to invite you to join me as we move into the living prayer. The living, breathing, moving, and grooving prayer field, for prayer is alive. And so I'm grateful, as the reading said, to be in this place of appreciation and gratitude. We move into this field of gratitude knowing that something good only and always is experiencing and expressing itself through and as the mind, the heart, the life, and the love of God. That bliss is the vibration of the universe. And it vibrates to bring forward glory and beauty and love specifically for you, specifically for me, through us. For we are divine ambassadors, messengers, harbingers of the Most High, born in the image and likeness of God Almighty, and we say yes to a greater and grander experience of this than ever before. We say yes to allowing this human experience to be so imbued and effulgent with the holy light that everywhere we go, we feel the sacred magnificence of the holy presence expressing to us and through us and for us and as us. We choose to know what it means even more than ever before, what it means to be born in the image and likeness of God, that we may experience bliss on earth, that we may experience wellness and goodness and prosperity, the infinite supply of all good, knowing there are no constrictions, restrictions, or adversaries in the divine. And so as we embody this, as we allow that holy light to flow through and to and for and as us, we know our job is not only to give and to receive, but to bless everything and everyone. And so I'm grateful to take a moment as we hold into this field of ever-expanding good, and I bless all of you right now, and I'm going to invite you to receive the blessing. I bless you with wellness and goodness and peace and beauty and grace and prosperity and joy. I invite you to receive it, just proclaiming, receive these energies. They are mine. It is our birthright. And it is our responsibility to bless everything and everyone all the time, to speak our word of blessing on a regular basis. This is what it means to be in the world but not of the world. This is what it means to live from your ascended nature, from our ascended nature. So I am taking a moment to bless this service, this day, this season, as we move into this week and we celebrate Thanksgiving. Truly how blessed it is. But we know every day is the day to be thankful. And so I bless all of you streaming in right now, whether you're watching us live or in the archives, blessing that you say yes to a greater and grander vision and version of life than ever before, blessing this service, that it is filled and thrilled, that the music leaps into your hearts, that the message inspires you, that we continue to grow and glow in the holy light of God, and we simply invite it, evoke it, allow it, and we let it be. Claiming it so, knowing it so, accepting it so, grounding it so by saying, and so I let it be, and so it is. Amen. And now Florence is going to come back with our affirmations.
And now we'll do our agape affirmation as a call and response. I'll speak a line and then we'll repeat it all back together. I am a fully franchised expression of the all-good God.
I am a fully franchised expression of the all-good God.
The resurrecting power of prayer lifts me up above all limitations.
The resurrecting power of prayer lifts me up above all limitations.
A field of secret fellowship supports all of my relationships.
A field of sacred fellowship supports all of my relationships.
I am fully sourced by the richness of my soul and the opulence of my being.
I am fully sourced by the richness of my soul and the opulence of my being.
My foundation is strong. My potential is activated.
My
Foundation is strong. My potential is activated.
My blessings are assured.
My blessings are assured.
And in all things I am grateful. And so it is.
And in
All things I am grateful.
and
So
so
it
it
is.
is.
Amen.
Amen.
So it's time for our music, and we have a really special treat for you this morning. We do have Brian on keys and Jesse on guitar, and I get to welcome Bashira back. Please come on in.
Good morning, everyone. I'm tired of the guilt that brings me pain. Now is the time to just let go of the shame. My past behind me, I'm made anew. And yes, I'm ready for my change. I'm ready for my change. I forgive me, and everything that I've been holding on to, I let go.
morning, Soul Center. I'm Reverend Keith, and I am welcoming you to our Sunday service. Was that glorious? Was Bashira just singing? That angelic voice coming through, touching our heart. Are you ready for the change, Soul Center? I hope you are, because in the temporal world, there's nothing going on but change. Change is inevitable in the temporal world. We are changing back into the changeless. We're allowing the infinite glory of God to matriculate down, the changeless magnificence of God to matriculate down, and that will change you. We're going to change. It's inevitable. Change is synonymous with transformation. Good morning. I'm Reverend Keith, welcoming you to our Soul Center service, where we become soul-centered in our beingness. We are an agape affiliate. The Agape International Spiritual Center is the birthplace of where we came forward from, and its birthplace came forward from the New Thought Ageless Wisdom teachings of truth, the absolute truth that honors the truth teachings found in Judaism, Christianity, Buddhism, Islam, Hinduism, shamanism, all of the mystical teachings around the globe. There's a mystical sect in should you choose, and in those mystical teachings, it is going to ask you to transform, to transcend, and to change into who you really are. It is a little bit paradoxical, because we know that the entirety of the kingdom of heaven, of all good, the perfect blueprint, everything that you need to thrive, is with you right now. It exists within you, and if you're experiencing any trials or tribulations, if you're experiencing any lack or limitation, if you're experiencing any confusion or any pessimism or cynicism, if you're even aware that you're experiencing that, then you're going to be asked to transcend, transmute, and rise into a greater and grander vision and version of your life than ever before. And it is good. So I'm going to invite you to join me as the theme of the month. We are on our personal pilgrimage. We are on that personal pilgrimage, which means we're here to explore. We're on an adventure. We're exploring the new world as we come up on this week of Thanksgiving, as we are on our pilgrimage. The pilgrims were looking for a new world, a new way of being. They were on an adventure, and we are all on that adventure on a regular basis, unless we get trapped in the machinations of the mundane, unless we get taught in the machinations of human law versus spiritual law, which is what we want to do. We want to rise up. We want to rise in, and since this week we're heading into Thanksgiving, one of my favorite holidays, because it's about appreciation. It's about gratitude, should you choose to. I know some people have family gatherings where all of a sudden gratitude goes right out the window, and bickering and arguing show up, and people are judging about this and judging about that. But it's supposed to be a time of gratitude, and this year a lot of people, because of COVID, are going to be staying home in smaller gatherings. And the entirety of what COVID has been asking us to do is to be still, to isolate, not so much from each other, but from the world of effects, so that we may come into an alignment with our true nature. That's what it's been asking us to do. It's also been asking us to go deeper into a self-love. When you're filled to overflowing with a self-esteem and a self-love steeped in the energy of your soul, of the passions of your truest, purest, holiest desires that come from the very heart and mind of God, then everything else unfurls and unfolds itself serendipitously. And so as we move into this time of Thanksgiving, we want to become aware. We want to become aware, as the title of the topic today is the law of pause and effect. It's just a play on words. There's no law of pause and effect. There is the law of cause and effect, and there's the practice of pause and effect. So, but we do want to kind of make that a law and understand the difference between carnal law, human law, and universal law. There is carnal law, like speed limits and things of that nature where you're not supposed to kill anyone, that are supposed to be reflective of universal law. But it is in universal law that we are going to find our freedom. It is in universal law, knowing the law of creation, knowing the law of radiance, and allowing it to have its way to, through, and as your beingness. Years ago, I was working with a gentleman who was a lawyer. And when he came to me, as unfortunately, you've probably heard this kind of preamble a couple times before. When he came to me, things were going a little rotten in his life. He came to me because things were starting to fall apart. His wife was getting ready to divorce him. And so we started to do what we do, the inner work. Crisis is a great motivator to get you to move. But if you're steeped in a divine awareness on a regular basis, you can avoid crisis. I'm telling you, you can just get rid of all the bells and whistles that are going to call you into crisis mode, and you can start to thrive. But in this case, it came to me, he was a pretty successful lawyer, making a ton of money. He was in corporate law. And what had happened was he started out, and as most lawyers that do, I don't know, actually, I'm assuming, you move in and you're impressed by the law because it's supposed to bring about justice and goodness for people. It's supposed to bring balance. It's supposed to bring equanimity. But oftentimes, as what happens in the carnal world, we get sidetracked and we get pulled into some of the race-conscious or group-conscious energies that pull us off center. And sometimes, like in his case, and in, I guess I'm assuming some lawyers' cases, it becomes more important to win than it is to hold for the truth and hold for the ever-expanding good of God. And some people might say, well, there's no place for that kind of airy-fairy ideals in the legal system. And I would beg to argue that point. I would like to take it to court and argue my point. But what I'm asking you to do is just beware. I think it's a kind of a brilliant analogy, using a lawyer as kind of a way to separate the difference between carnal law and universal law. There are universal laws that govern the universe that you can't mess with. They work no matter what. They are no respecters of persons, not like earthly law, not like carnal law, where sometimes if you have a little money, you can transcend carnal law. You might be able to pay someone off, and you might be out of integrity with something. Now, what was going on in his life is he was out of integrity with universal law, and that inertia that had pulled him in, the carnal inertia, not the divine inertia that is pulling you into your wholeness, that carnal inertia that was pulling on him, start slowly, as we started to regress back over time from the time he entered into law, because by the time he came to me, he had been doing it for a cost to 25, 30 years. All of a sudden, you started to see where he started to deviate from a place of holding for a space of good to moving into that space where greed had started to enter into the scene. The lower vibrations of the temporal world had started to get in, and then there was about winning at any cost. And there's always, should you choose to, the availability of the win-win for everything and everyone. And so what had ended up happening, winning at any cost, started to creep into areas with his wife, with his children, and with his siblings, to the point where all of a sudden his family, his biological family, the siblings and parents he grew up with, when the parents had passed away, and the estate was going to be distributed amongst the siblings, and then all of a sudden it was being disseminated out amongst them in a way that was kind of questionable, and they started bickering and fighting, and they started to go into a legal battle. And when all of a sudden it was starting to bring up all these issues of feeling inferior and unloved and insecure, but instead of dealing with that, it became, I need to win and get my share of this estate. That became more important than dealing with the inner issues that were bothering him of his self-esteem and his misinterpretations of how and when his parents loved him or did this or did that. And when that got stirred up, he started taking it out on his kids. He started taking it out on his wife. And little things like, those kind of cliche things, what to watch on television, where to go for dinner, started creeping in, and he needed to win even in that. And it might seem a little extreme, and it might even seem a little bit silly, but that type of stuff, when it takes off, if you are not mindful, if you are not steeped in your practice of communing and connecting with God, the next thing you know, you're about to get divorced. You're about to have, in this case, the children stopped talking to him. They were disinterested and disassociating with him. Everything was pulling back, and his biological family was attacking him in the courtroom. Everything was just going downhill, and it started to take a toll where he was becoming depressed, even in his fight for survival. So we needed to go into a place of redemption. We needed to hit pause and reflect and bring in universal law to transmute temporal law, carnal law, so that he could be risen back into his magnificence and into the sacred vibration of holy relationships. There is, as you've heard me say many times, a perfect blueprint of your physical, emotional, mental, and your body of affairs. There is a perfect blueprint that you share with everyone. And to be mindful to cultivate that on a regular basis, we pause and we reflect. You got to hit the pause button. Every day as we get up and we move out into the world and we get into the temporal energies, sometimes they grab you. They grab you, as coincidentally, I was talking this morning to someone who reminded me years ago, even in spiritual communities. Years ago, I was familiar with a woman. She was a healer, and she was helping people transcend things, but she was doing it from the temporal world. And what I mean by that is the temporal world is where the energies of duality, where there's something that can be against me and there's something that can be for me. In the universal realm of singularity, the absolute, the very heart and mind of God, it is absolute. There is nothing against anyone. So when we go out into the world, we want to make sure that we're calling forward cooperation because it's the nature of life. We're calling forward prosperity because it's the nature of life. We're calling forward love and goodness because it is the nature of life. And she started to get involved with some people that were talking about negative energy. As a matter of fact, they were calling it dark energy, and that you need to protect yourself and you need to cleanse yourself and you need to do all these things to protect yourself from that, from this other thing. There was actually one faction of the group of people she was dealing with that called it evil energy. They called it E, actually. And that you needed to cleanse yourself, and that some people were walking around with these energies, and if you weren't careful, they could rub off on you and take you down. And so that right there is dealing with the energies at the temporal world level. And it might sound a little silly. It might even sound fantastical. It might sound a little crazy. And it actually is crazy because you're starting to enter into the realm of duality. And duality is what we are transcending from. We are moving, the entirety of the human journey is to move from duality into singularity, and to allow singularity to express itself in this world. To be in the world but not of the world means that you're living in singularity, walking in singularity, even in the realm of duality. But many people get confused and they start to believe in the temporal energies, which those things are fear, guilt, worry, shame, resentment, anger. Those are the energies that are telling you you're moving into the temporal world of divisiveness, as this gentleman was in his law practice. And as it says in the Christian Bible, The eye is the lamp of the body. And if your eye be bright, your whole life will be bright. What does that mean? It means that the eye, the lamp of the body, is how you see and perceive everything. And if your eye, divine right perception, is bright and clear, then what you perceive and see in the world will be bright and clear. And when you start to understand, as we started to do the inner work with this gentleman, that his wife wasn't against him, his siblings weren't against him. He was dealing with issues of self-love, self-esteem, and self-worth, because almost 99.9% of the time, if you're dealing with a prosperity issue, a financial issue, it has everything to do with self-worth. Your self-worth is to be lifted into a greater and grander experience of prosperity, which we know prosperity is wellness and goodness. And so, as it says in the Chinese teachings of the I Ching, the ancient wisdom, genius is the ability to receive from the universe. Genius is the ability to receive from the universe, means that you be still and you know and you receive your clarity, you receive your good, you receive your joy, you got to call it forward, which means on a regular basis you're going to pause and reflect, because if you don't pause and reflect, you might not like what cause and effect are going to bring forward to you. Cause and effect, what goes around and comes around, also plays into the karmic field, is going to bring you exactly what you believe. And so what I'm going to encourage you to do is to start to write a dictionary of what your definitions of certain words are. There are certain words, as this gentleman, the lawyer, had been going through life, his idea of what fair was started to morph. It started to morph into, instead of it being equal and fair and just for everyone, it meant that he was going to win for his client. Fair had changed its definition. And oftentimes, once upon a time, I was with a client of mine, and she had asked me to stop, and we were going to go grab some tea. And we went and we got some tea, and we got it to go, and then we were leaving. And then we stopped, and she was going to put some sweetener, and she opened her purse, and she pulled out this little baggie, and it had all these little stevia sweeteners in there. And I'm a big fan of stevia sweetener. And I'm like, oh, where did you get that? And she goes, oh, I just grabbed a handful while we were at the restaurant. And I was like, oh, okay. And in her world, that was perfectly acceptable to grab a handful, by a handful probably about all the stevia they had. And really, the way it works is, I don't think I need to explain it, but just in case, you're supposed to use just what you need while you're there. Not take the whole allotment and maybe even grab some more, maybe grab some extra spoons, grab some extra stir stick, because that should tell you you're in lack consciousness. And I said, oh, and then it is an occupational hazard. Sometimes people get nervous around me because they think like I'm the spiritual police, because all of a sudden she saw my face kind of like, oh, okay. Now, I'm not going to coach anybody. I'm not going to blame or shame anybody. But people do sometimes, they'll say like a bad word. Oh, I'm in front of Reverend Keith. Like, no. Nobody needs to be worried or paranoid or whatever. I'm not the spiritual police. But I am, if I am called, because I'm not going to blame or shame or point anything out unless I'm asked to. But she was like, all of a sudden she was like, oh. And she's like, I'm like, what? And she's like, oh. I guess I wasn't really supposed to grab all of those sweeteners, was I? And I was like, well, if you really want to have a conversation about it, and we just used it as a very simple, very innocent, I think a lot of people out there go ahead and they load up on condiments in places, not thinking that when you load up and then they have to pay more to buy more condiments, that means overall the prices are going to start to go up on things. It wasn't intended that way. And so as we backtrack and we find out what our definitions are in life, what is fair, what is just, what does self-worth look like, mean like, feel like in my beingness, we want to start to become aware of our definitions of things, because your definition, which is woven into the fabric of your belief system, is how you're going to experience everything. And we want to, as our beloved Howard Thurman would say, Keep fresh before us the moments of my high resolve. My high resolve means that if I was going in my high resolve, if I was had my eye be bright, then when I went to go get those extra packets, I might have been, oh, wait a minute. Just be in compliance with there's enough for everything and everyone, and don't steal, because thou shalt not steal. It even says it in the 10 Commandments. Why are those things there? It's to keep things even, to keep things in flow. And also, this simple experience we were able to take it and lift into a place where, like, well, why would I do that? Why would I take a little extra sweetener? Because I'm in a lack energy. And so, or I might be in an inconvenienced energy, like, oh, it's just not convenient for me to go, so something's against me. Either prosperity is against me, or I don't have enough time is against me, and we're letting go of things that are against us and rising into everything is for us. And when you hit pause and you reflect, and you allow yourself to commune with the eye, the lamp of your beingness and your body for divine right perception, everything will be made new. Everything will be made fresh. And you can reboot and restart, and you can allow yourself to be purified and cleansed with divine right perceptions, which is what we did with my client who was the lawyer. And we had to reboot and restart and realign and redefine his life. And we started to explore, is there a way that you can take carnal law and match it with universal law and not go out of business? And as it turns out, yes, you can, because you can pause and reflect as a lawyer, and you can allow yourself to be shown the way. And all of a sudden, it was actually pretty quick that everything began to turn around. As soon as he became humble, the one thing I would have to say that was pretty incredible is this gentleman was at the point of that crisis management phase of life where he was brought to his knees and he was ready to become humble, he was ready to surrender, and things started to shift and change. And forgiveness, absolution, redemption, if you embrace it, if you say, all right, God, I'm ready, make all things new, you will find things in the temporal world, children, your siblings, will respond. The outer world will respond if you forgive yourself, if you allow absolution to take place, if you allow transmutation, things will change. And you will rise into a greater and grander experience of ever-expanding good than you could possibly ever imagine. But it does take shifting, that we pause and reflect on a regular basis. And when we pause and reflect, as you've heard me say before, at the end of the day is a great time. You pause and reflect and you go back to the beginning of the day, you scan over it, and is there anything that needs to be cleaned? That's part of what our meditation practice does. That's part of communing with spirit. And eventually you won't even need to do that anymore, because there are certain spiritual practices that we do on a regular basis that we're going to grow out of. We're not going to, as the woman who was so paranoid about picking up the dark energy and the evil and the this and the that. There is a place sometimes where we sage, we clear a space, but we're doing it knowing that as I'm doing this, I'm fortifying the muscles of growing into knowing that nothing is against me and everything is for me. So gosh, today I had an experience where somebody yelled at me, or somebody seemed like they had some negative energy, and so I'm doing my spiritual practice. Maybe I'm saging, maybe I'm using some Palo Santo, maybe I'm doing a prayer or a mantra to cleanse the energy. But what I'm really doing, if I'm doing it right, is I'm going deep within and I'm fortifying a place in with me that knows there's nothing against me and everything is for me. I'm cleansing the lamp so that I may see aright on a regular basis. This is what we are cultivating. This is what we are calling forward and allowing to be. And then we move into a place of such grace. When you're done cleansing, when you're done playing with the energy and the law, you're going to transcend the law of transmutation, and you're going to live from creation, and you're going to realize that as you, and we don't have to wait to transmute everything. We don't have to be ready. We have to call something forward. As we participate with the law of creation, you'll begin to realize that by the time a desire makes its way into your awareness, the time a true desire from your soul makes it into your awareness, God has already gone before you to get the crooked path straight. It is already manipulating everything to bring it into form. It was manipulating it before you even knew about the desire. This is how the universe works. There are desires in your heart that want to be felt, realized, manifested, experienced, and expressed through you. But by the time you get that desire, by the time you capture it, and I'm going to advise you to not water it down, it's already in motion. All the serendipities and synchronicities to bring it into form. And what it asks of you is to say yes. It asks of you to embrace it. It asks of you to say, yes, I will receive my good even better than ever before. Now, this is what it's asking of you. So I'm going to ask you to join me in a time where we're going to pause and reflect on a regular basis. You're going to get in there and see what definitions do I have. Start writing down words and seeing, like, what is fairness? What is a sacred holy relationship? We want to know, what are disciplines? We want to start getting in there and understanding that we want to make the definitions of our life. We want to define what the words mean, because that's how they will outpicture. What does prosperity, what's the definition of prosperity for you? What is the definition of wellness for you? And because the reason we're doing this is, as you define these words, as you write down what it is, and you write down the word and you write down the definition, you are activating it within your beingness. You are evoking it. So I'm going to invite you to start doing in your journal a definition of words, and let yourself ponder, and let yourself move into ruminating. Ruminate as you reflect on what those words mean. You want to ruminate on prosperity, on wellness, on goodness, and remember, the goal is that the truth shall set you free. So those are your marching orders, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to take this time and we're going to anchor everything that's been said that you already know, because the wisdom and the mastery and the magnificence of the Holy Presence is alive within you, and you're letting it rise up, and we're going to do that in prayer right now. I'm going to invite you to join me once again as we tune and turn within to the holy vibration of ever-expanding good. As you and me and we move into this feeling of gratitude, of thanksgiving, of deep and abiding appreciation, knowing that life is good, that God is life, is good, is bliss, is grace, is beauty, is brilliance beyond our wildest dreams. And that we are saying yes to the great remembering of knowing who we are, returning to universal law, allowing ourselves to let go of the temporal world of temporal law and rise. We rise into a greater and grander vision and version. We ignite the light, the lamp of our eye, that we may see with divine right perception on a regular basis. We open to the very nature of who we truly are. Born in the image and likeness of God, we say yes to a greater and grander experience of wellness, of prosperity, of joy, of love, of harmony. We open into sacred holy relationships in this moment. Show me what it is. Give me the divine definition of a sacred holy relationship. Give me the divine definition of what it means to be in the world but not of the world. Give me the divine definition of prosperity and wellness right here, right now. And so I'm grateful to know that each and every one of us, born from the holy light of God, means that the omniscient wisdom that has coded and loaded every seed to bloom and blossom into every flower, to grow into the mighty oak, to rise like the phoenix from the ashes. We say yes to this great, magnificent, omniscient light. We say yes to the omnipotence and the omnipresence of God that is in us. And as divine ambassadors, harbingers, messengers of truth, of grace, of beauty, of light, of love, we anchor this in our bones. And we bless it upon everything and everyone. And so I'm grateful to know that something wonderful is taking place, that change is upon us. Transformation is upon us in benevolent and beautiful ways, lifting us into the experience of heaven on earth, right here, in this life, in this body, right now. We claim it so. We allow it to be so. We ground it so. We accept it so brilliantly, benevolently, blissfully, exquisitely, elegantly, immediately, immaculately, right here, right now. And we simply agree to allow it to be by saying, and so it is, and so I let it be. Amen, Amen, Amin, Ashe, Aho, Mahalo, Shalom, Hotep, and Hallelujah. Just letting that in, always marinating after a prayer. Let it change you, let it transform you. You don't want to be the same. You want to change. And as we prepare to move into the law of circulation, this is our time of sacred giving, of tithing, remembering that as we participate in the law of circulation, we are allowing it to expand us. The universe, we know, the universe is expanding. It keeps expanding. New galaxies, new planets, new solar systems are always expanding. Ever expanding good, and we want to allow that as our prosperity, and we do that via tithing, via the law of circulation. So I'm going to invite you to please support our community, remembering as we're coming up on the year end, we are a 501c3, so all of your donations are tax deductible. So we would love for you to consider us as we are holding the vision of our new home, our new building, our new space, our new place. When we emerge from COVID, that's what we're moving into, is our new space. And so I invite you to join us with your tithe, and we are grateful for this. And you can do that by either texting the word GIVE to area code 669-342-2157, or you can go to the soulcenteroc.com website, and you can scroll down to the orange button and hit donate. All of this is safe and secure. We would really appreciate your participating in your own financial expansion, but it also benefits Soul Center. So we're grateful for that. You can also find our mailing address on our website, and you can mail in a check if you'd like to do that. All of these ways, we are truly appreciative, and as you go ahead and prepare your tithe, by hitting that donate button, by texting to give, and if you even want to go onto a recurring payment plan where you auto tithe, it just goes on a regular basis, we would truly appreciate that as well. And I also wanted to remind you that this month we have, you could have seen it in our newsletter, matched giving. And so we have someone who is going to match up to... So is that $1,111.11?
Yes.
$1,111.11 is being matched. So please join us in our matching. Am I supposed to be telling who it is? Oh, our beloved and amazing David Keel is the one who is offering this. So we really appreciate you taking over. Yes, come over here, David.
Thank you very much.
David is doing this, and we really appreciate it. So please match that so that we can get twice as much. We really appreciate that. Even more. You can go even more if you choose to. We appreciate it. And now I'm going to stop talking about that, and I'm going to invite Bashira and Jesse and Brian back in, and we will get thrilled with our music. Beautiful
a song called Return to Me. If you know the words, feel free to sing along with us. Return to me. Return to me. With every breath, return. End and begin with me. With every breath, return. Return to me. Return to me. With every breath, return.
that voice, it just melts your heart. And so I'm grateful as we return to love. And again, if you haven't done so already, you can text GIVE to area code 669-342-2157. You can go to our website and hit donate. Make sure you get in all that tax-deductible donations in. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to move into a field of blessings and gratitude. I'm going to invite you to join me as we extend our blessings, our prayers, through our hearts and hands, extending the palms of our hands out and bestowing blessings as we move into a field of gratitude. Truly grateful to know that this community that we call Soul Center OC, it is an international community. We have people streaming in from around the globe. We have people that are joining us now that we have expanded our online experiences. And so I'm grateful for this, and I'm grateful to know that our beloved community in Newport Beach and beyond, that we are saying yes to a greater and grander experience of a goodness, as we are grateful to know that our programs, our chaplaincy program, our classes, and our building are being taken care of from the very source, the very light, the very love of God. And as we participate in the omni activity of this, as we say yes, individually and collectively, to the law of circulation and ever-expanding good, we claim it, we ground it, we anchor it in our own bones and our own beingness. Ever-expanding good as prosperity, as a joy, right here, right now. We give thanks for all of the donations. We give thanks and we bless and accept our good, individually, collectively, and so it is. Amen. All right, we're getting ready to close out our service for today. So we're going to do our peace song. If you need to go grab anybody, bring them in. One of the kids out in the other room, bring them in, and let's just have a moment for our peace song as I invite Jesse and Bashira back in. Come on in, guys and gals. Sacred, holy relationships, brilliance. We allow ourselves to be blissed out of our gourds on a regular basis in communion with God, with communion with our soul. We claim it, own it, ground it, and allow it to be. And